I don't know if it's just me, mate, but have you noticed that there's something in the air? The IQ points in this country seem to have gone down 10 points within the last 24 hours.
That's a very tough ask because this country is already quite retarded, especially the politicians in this country. But yes, I fully agree with you. We've covered blaming apartheid for everything. We've covered the fact that fires are caused by apartheid as well. But now just a whole plethora of stories that we're going to go through over the next few days just to show if you're scared of this government, you're a moron.
DA secured a victory yesterday in the Supreme Court. So the Supreme Court basically told Ramaphosa, you just got to hand over the cater deployment records now. So we suspect that there is that one lone guy who has the only records in the country, the only copy of the cater deploy records. He's on his way to DA headquarters right now. And there may be a possibility that his vehicle lands up in a mysterious car crash and explodes in a hail of gunfire. We don't know, but these things happen, and unfortunately, all the records were lost in the crash.
So good luck, DA, in finding those cater deployment records. I don't think that'll ever happen. But speaking of cater deployment, for something that apparently never existed, according to the president, and then, it did exist, but it's actually very good, according to the president. Well, now the finance minister, who is appointed by the president, has said if there was cater deployment in key institutions in South Africa, it would kill those institutions dead, and therefore he's been against cater deployment in the Treasury, for example. What on earth is going on? Cater deployment is like one of the main policies of the ANC since 1997, which has retarded the country and destroyed everything we know. And now the finance minister says, yes, actually, everything you know about cater deployment is true, and therefore I'm not having it in Treasury.
And the IMF said to him, you guys don't have a policy problem, you have an implementation problem. And the reason you have an implementation problem is because the people that work there are freaking moronic and stupid. Government is just staffed by the most stupidest people in the country. If the ANC deployed its cadres to the Treasury, the only reason it would do it is so that it can kind of steal and loot the policies, do things that it probably shouldn't. But in doing so, it just killed the place and the currency would be worthless.
This is a not so tacit concession by the finance minister that the ANC has destroyed the country, though. Because cadres have been deployed everywhere. To Eskom, to Transnet, to municipalities, to council positions, to mayorships, to parliament. I wonder what's going on in the ANC. Where's the consistency in messaging? It just doesn't seem to happen. All the ministers are just doing exactly what they want. And now the finance minister, who's a good guy in this regard, we agree with that, he's just coming out to say, whatever the ANC did for 30 years is actually quite shit. So we shouldn't do it anymore. It's not a way for a comrade to speak now, is it?
But Ramon, I'm reminded that when Zondo actually gave that report, didn't some stupid moron turn around at the time and say, Zondo, we know you say that you shouldn't be all catery in your deployment, but you, Mr. Zondo, are actually part of cater deployment. You're a cater that's been deployed.
So what does this actually mean, ladies and gentlemen? Well, it means that sort of the ANC doesn't exist. That's the fundamental thing. The ANC as an organization doesn't really exist. Godongwana is trying to save the ANC at all costs. He's like, guys, cater deployment is killing us as a party. We need to end it. So in actual fact, we actually don't support Godongwana. Like, screw you. Don't try to fix the ANC. We want more cater deployment, please. In Treasury, in the SARB, hell, everywhere. Because then the ANC will really be destroyed. The more caters that are being deployed, in essence.
Cyril also yesterday came out and said something else that's really stupid. He says the reason we don't have enough engineers and civil society planners in the country is because of apartheid. And we already did a video on how apartheid is going to be the new boogeyman. But anyway, so Cyril comes out and says all these things. And it's like, dude, we had fuckloads of engineers here and planners and all sorts of stuff, even accountants. But you, because of your stupid, dumbass policies, has caused a lot of them to exit civil service, not because they want to, but because you wanted to deploy your cadres to those positions. And in deploying them there, you inflated the salaries and you basically told all the people that had any skills to fuck off because they weren't ANC members. So a lot of them just said, okay, well, fuck it, we're going to immigrate. And so they left. And now the prick is turning around going, it was apartheid's fault. Like, I don't understand it, Ramon. Why is Cyril such a puss?
But this is the general sort of crisis of competence that the West is going through at the moment, Byron. All these natural disasters, hitting the infrastructure of the US. Bridges are falling over and trains are being derailed and flights are being grounded, and there's all these glitches in the system. Ironically, these glitches are happening like 5 to 10 years after the American government implemented affirmative action in the civil service. So what you have a crisis of competence. You have a society run by incompetent people based solely on the color of their skin, not based on their merit or their skill. And what that leads to is South Africa. We've had this crisis of competence for 30 years. Retards deployed to very key positions in the state. Destroys the state. Now, as nationalists, we are upset that the state has been destroyed, but as South Africans, it's actually a very good thing the state is being destroyed, because we must just build our own little mini states wherever we live.
Cyril was like one of the only people from Southern Africa to actually go to the inauguration. They said to him, well, why are you doing this? The election's in dispute. And he said, South Africa has no enemies. That's why I went. You know, Ramon, I want to correct the president. South Africa does have an enemy. And that enemy is called the ANC.